Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below. I have a bunch of content coming to you guys. I know a lot of you guys, real quick update, have been asking me what the hell I've been doing, where I've been. I took a little break, and by little, a year off from doing red carpets, interviews, after shows, and all that kind of stuff. I needed to take a step back. I was watching like a lot of reality TV, interviewing a lot of people in that world, and I needed to take a step back and kind of reflect my life and do some self-healing, self-love, get my priorities together, and really figure out what it is that I was trying to do out here, as well as work on my own content. I know a lot of you have been hearing about this show, Jesse's House, and you guys keep asking me when am I going to release it, and I promise you it's coming soon. It's just a little more tedious than I thought. So I had to edit that part right there because my throat was killing me and I need to make some tea. In the meantime, I created this show called MoodSwings. It's kind of a show about shit that we should be talking about. I was watching a lot of reality TV and I was just noticing that the dialogue that we have in today's day and age doesn't get us anywhere but to a negative finish line. And I believe that after meeting so many people, having so many sit-down one-on-ones with people, I was having some really dope conversations, and I wanted to find a way to be able to share that with you guys. So basically, Mood Swings, every week we'll be talking about a different mood with a celebrity, influencer, creative, self-help guru, or even just a friend. Kind of just to start and open the dialogue, and we want you guys to join and hit down below, leave a comment. If you have any recommendations, advice, let me know. I'm always willing to grow. Okay. My first episode is with a friend of mine. We actually did the Famously Single after show over at AfterBuzz. Her name is Lina Noory. She is an amazing human being, a bright spirit, and she is all about helping people love themselves, whether it's through fashion, fitness, or just conversation, meditation, self-love. She's your go-to girl, Lina Noory. Make sure you guys check out her YouTube channel. The link will be down below for you guys to check out some videos, because I filmed some stuff for her too. So these videos are going to be broken into two parts. I'm going to release them on Tuesdays and Thursdays. This first one, we kind of dive into the mood feeling burnt. Sometimes we can feel burnt by friends, a lover, or even our careers. We can burn ourselves out, and that's kind of where I had felt at a certain point in my life this year. So it was really cool to have that conversation with her. Here's part one. Check it out. Voy donde quiero con cualquiera donde sea. Voy donde quiero con cualquiera donde sea. I recently listened to a podcast called Burnt Not Bitter by Joyce Meyer, everything. And it really kind of stuck with me because I think that there's been a lot in this past year, because we finished filming about a year ago. Yeah. And I didn't show up to the last episode, and I think that was a chain reaction. Ghoster. It was. I think it was a chain reaction of just the things going on in my life and me having to learn how to prioritize things. And I felt like just completely burnt in my life. I felt I was burnt in my love life. I was burnt in my career. I was burnt with dealing with family stuff. I was just burnt friendships. I was being the best friend, being the best lover, being the best host, being the best in my career, being the best family member. That I was just chasing this, I gotta be, instead of just living in the present day, that I literally burnt myself out. And I've taken this year and I've really grown a lot. I've looked at everything, and I had heard this podcast, and what really made me realize I've grown is that she had talking about forgiveness, and she was just kind of saying, you know, you haven't truly learned to forgive. Forgiveness is for yourself, but you haven't truly learned to forgive until you can get to that point where once you say I forgive, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, you hear that name brought up, and it still doesn't bring you that like tightness.
It's even a tightness. It's like that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, they got
that
a new
deep
job.
gut
It's
feeling.
like, good for them. No, but a genuine good for them. You know what I mean? Even though they burnt me, or even though I'm emotionally exhausted in life, I still have the joy for another person because I didn't have to connect the two. So I want to talk to you about feeling burnt. Like, has there been a moment in your life?
Right now.
What is the main thing causing that? And
Expectations. Expectations of everything,
so
of people, of life. I'm burnt with being burnt. I feel like my entire life has always been about more. Wanting to be better, wanting to have more, wanting to look better, wanting to dress better, wanting to be married at a certain age, just wanting these things that's kind of been embedded in me since I was a child. You know, my parents are from Afghanistan, we're Southeast Asian, so it's like the cultural aspect of like a woman, she has to be married at a certain age, have kids at a certain age, or it's taboo. And so these expectations that come, whether it's internally or from external forces, it just leads to disappointment.
Yeah.
Your whole life, you just end up, it's like a never-ending ball of being disappointed. And I'm so tired of it. Like we were just talking about this. I'm so tired of being burnt out. I'm tired of giving myself these unrealistic expectations. And it's interesting because I was talking to my brother about this, is Stephen Hawking. May he rest in peace. One of the quotes that he's most known for, he says that at the age of 20, he's like, I lowered my expectation to 0. And he goes, everything since then has been a blessing. Let's break that down.
Yeah, because my biggest problem is less expectations. I think I have cut back on them, but I think it's also hard because I think before we were filming, I was saying to you, like, I have this thing where it's really hard for me because you're like, oh, well, you think people can read your mind? Because I won't speak. If someone does something that is just kind of like common sense, stupid, I'm like, I'm not even going to tell you why that was wrong. But then it starts eating at me. You know, the first time, fine, but then the second time, third time, to the point where because I haven't said anything and because I haven't chosen to cut this situation off, relationship off, or even have the conversation, I'm now enabling. And I'm enabling myself to feel negative towards these unexpected expectations.
But that's your fault for not communicating it. And it's in our human nature to get away with what we can get away with. It's not a male characteristic. It's not a female characteristic. It's like the girl that she always finds herself in a situation where the guy doesn't want to commit. She's always like the side girl, whatever. It's because you are not valuing yourself as a high-value woman. You're not setting the boundaries. You're not vocalizing that, hey, I'm not that girl that's just going to be waiting for you for 4 or 5 months to hook up with me and date other girls at the same time too. It's the women that stand their ground that end up getting what they want. And listen, if the guy leaves, you're getting what you want because what you want is a guy that wants to eventually commit and he's not going to give you that. And it's so weird that we're so often afraid to vocalize what we want.
Well, yeah, and it's like we get stuck in this. This is the only person. This one. This one.
There's 7 billion.
I mean, like, look, just scroll on Instagram. You'd be like, oh yeah, you know, where. That's my biggest problem is that I get so focused on one individual. I think it's because I try to connect with every person I come in contact with. Not that I try to connect, but I do connect. I could be in a doctor's office and just turn to the person next to me and just start talking.
Like, how's your day going?
You know what I mean? And then it's like, okay. And it's that little bit of awkwardness. But you know who taught me a really good lesson? Actually, I went and got a haircut maybe about 2 weeks ago. And
you don't even have hair.
I had it. I shaved it all off.
Oh, okay.
So
where's the hair?
I went and got a haircut, and he didn't introduce himself to me. I didn't introduce myself to him. I just kind of sat in his chair. He was like, you know, what do you need? And I told him what I needed. He starts cutting my hair, and he goes into the story. And it was the day after I listened to Burnt Not Bitter, and actually the day after I'd spoken to you. And he starts telling me about, when I grew up in Jamaica, you know, I always got picked on by this kid. And, you know, he we were playing marbles, and he came up to me, and, you know, because the other kids were saying stuff to me, he decided to pick on me, and he came up to me and he pushed me. And he's like, it made me so mad, but he was so much bigger, I couldn't do anything back to him. And a couple months later, they were at school. And they were all playing like tag or something like that, and all the kids ran off. And this kid jumped over this fence, and he fell on the fence, and the fence went through his thigh. And he said, and it was in that moment, he said, you know, the craziest thing is I didn't even think twice. He said, even how bad this kid always bullied me and picked on me, I didn't even think twice. When as soon as he went down, it was my instant reaction to go up there and lift his leg up, and he basically saved this kid. And he brought the kid to, you know, an adult, and they handled it. And he said, and ever since that day, you know, that kid came up to me and was like, never apologized, but changed his entire energy towards it. And he was like, you know, I didn't want to build a friendship off of it, but I appreciated that his energy changed. And I was just like, that is so powerful.
But do you know why?
Because he proved who he was as a person. It made the other kid feel guilty. Like, in a sense, like, wow, that's so big of you. That, like, even though I treated you bad, you still went through life knowing, you know yourself so well that you're like, bro, you can say, push me, do whatever you want. I'm still going to live tomorrow. Matter of fact, I'm still going to live, be better than you, and help you out. Because
at the source of it, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, is when you're getting bullied, or whether it's when you're a kid or you're on social media and there's someone behind the computer just trolling and leaving these negative comments, they're projecting their own insecurities and how they feel about themselves, like negatively, not being happy or content with who they are, not being happy about where they are in life. If they're talking about your relationship, maybe they're single, they went through a breakup, and they want you to feel what they feel. And so what people don't realize is that when someone says something negative towards you, it's actually the reflection of how they feel about themselves. Yeah. They're projecting it on you. And so if you look at it that way, I know it doesn't make it feel any better. It doesn't make it okay for someone to say nasty or negative things to you, whether you put yourself out there or not. But in this situation, so he's constantly a bad person to this guy, and then he just gets to the point where he's like, no matter how shitty I've been, this guy still put me ahead of himself, ahead of his negative thoughts towards me. And it almost made him think, maybe what I'm doing is wrong. Maybe there are good people out there. And it's sad because people aren't inherently bad. People don't inherently cheat. You know, I always hear this argument about, I was watching someone put up this post on Facebook, and this guy was talking about every girl he meets, or these girls that he's meeting, they're talking to 6 different guys, and that ends up with 3 of them. And so I'm like, wow, all I constantly hear is my girlfriend's talking about how guys all cheat, they're all shady. And I don't like generalizations. I don't think that's true. There's lots of good people out there, guys and girls. And so I hear all my girlfriends going like, these guys are cheating, they have girlfriends, they cheated on me, whatever it is. And then I'm seeing this guy, and then I'm reading the comments, and here come these guys. And like, yeah, man, you know, I offer to cook dinner for girls, or I offer to pick them up on the first date, and they're like, oh, let's just meet there. It's like, what happened to chivalry? Like, I'm trying to be chivalrous, and she doesn't want it. It's like when you're good to a girl, she wants the bad guys. And so you have men, and you have women. Sometimes there's men and men, sometimes there's women and women. But you have this disconnect where we all blame the opposite sex, and they all blame us. And it's like, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And so that's what happens with people that are inherently negative and they want to bully you and talk down to you, is they weren't born that way. They weren't born to be bad. Nobody's born to be a bad person. You're not genetically a bad person. It's your experiences in life. And we've talked about this, where your mind, we think that our mind tells us is accurate. It's not. It's usually your ego self, or it's you basing your reality or your present moment off of your past experiences. So these people that are negative and unhappy, like this guy that's helping this other kid doesn't want to be that way. He can't control his mind. His mind is telling him, hey, you need to be shitty before someone else can be shitty to you. It's your ego saying attack before you can be attacked. This is a result of your past experiences. This is a result of allowing your mind to manifest this like demonizing, victimizing thought that you have to get people before they get you. And it's just such a sad way to think. And people just don't realize that you can't just believe everything your mind tells you, that not everybody's bad. Listen, you're going to meet some shitty people in your life. They're meant to teach you a lesson. Take it as a lesson, move on from it. Not everybody's shitty. Not everybody's going to screw you over. So in that case, it took him seeing that, wow, this guy was so selfless that he still ran to my rescue, given the fact that I've been such a bad human being. And he's like, wait, but not everybody's bad. And
the power was, instead of fighting fire with fire, this kid burnt this other kid, but instead of fighting him, he was like, I'm gonna just show you respect and love, because that's who I am as a person. And I'm not gonna play to your games. I'm not gonna go to your level. I'm gonna be bigger and above. And by him doing that, it changed that kid's whole life. His whole thought process changed. He changed as a person. So when you say the word burnt, you can emotionally feel that different ways. Someone doing it to you, you physically being burnt, but then like we were talking about emotionally. So for you, what are some ways that you've kind of coped with changing your lifestyle to not be do the most and kind of calm yourself down with it?
I just started that.
So what is it? How?
Like literally, I woke up a year ago. Literally just said it today, and I decided that I'm no longer going to live my life by these rules, by the destination. I've always been the destination girl. I've always been like, by this age, I'm going to do this. By this age, I'm going to have this. And then you realize when you start achieving those things, and you don't always achieve them, so when you don't, that's where the disappointment comes in. But when you start achieving them, that feeling that you thought you were going to get, that satisfaction, you don't get it.
Because you're trying to fight life. You can't win when you fight life. You have to work with life.
And you're also tricking yourself to thinking.
It's a vibe.
You're also almost convincing yourself that by getting these materialistic things or these external things or that person that you want or that perfect thing at the perfect time, where you're almost even forcing it. Like, you'll end up married to somebody at 30 that you shouldn't be married to, because as a female, something happens to us when we're about to be 30 where we're like, oh, look at all of our Facebook friends. They're on like kid 3. I'm on like, can't even wake up at 10 o'clock. And so you feel like you need to play catch up. And then you're feeding yourself these unrealistic expectations. And meanwhile, what's happening is that life just kind of passed you by. You missed all these great moments.
Not even just female. I think even on a bigger level, because career-wise, have you ever had this expectation, like, I'm going on an audition, I did my hair the best way, I smiled the best, I spoke the best, I studied the most, and, you get it, and then you're expecting them to call you, you're expecting, I should get this. Instead of saying, you know what, I did my best, and whatever the world has, if life wants me to roll with that, then that's what life's going to do. I'm not going to sit here and get hung up on it, because I think that happens sometimes with me in my career, is like, okay, I'll try something. It's like, you need to shoot 100 shots before you get one. And that burns me out.
It's a numbers game, and it's also saving your fucks. I swear my sister said that to me. She goes, Lina, save your fucks. When real shit's going to happen. Because let me tell you something. If you want to know what got me here, in this last year, there's been more fundamental changes in my life. There's been more career, life, relationship, family changes. I've seen my family go through the gutter and come straight up. And it took me seeing that kind of stuff. My mom had breast cancer, she had double mastectomy. She also had thyroid cancer, had to remove part of her thyroid. It took me getting to that level of realizing, like, this is real shit. This is not a breakup. This is not things not working out your way. This is not getting that audition. This is your mother, the woman that brought you into this world. She could not be here.
Yeah.
It took that level of perspective. And perspective is such a powerful word. It's what I say to everybody. We base every decision in our entire lives off of perspective, because that is what our brain does. Our brain makes us think our reality is perspective. It's things that's happened to us, things that could happen to us because of other things that have happened to us, things that have happened to people around us. Our brain, our anxiety, our stress comes into play, and our perspective just goes, yo, that just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Your mom has a life-threatening disease. You could never see her again. All of a sudden, nothing else matters.
Yep.
Boom. There you guys have it. Part 1, episode 1 of Mood Swings, Burnt. You guys can check out part 2 later this week. And also make sure you guys come back every Tuesday and Thursday. We're going to drop new video, new content for you. Just hit that subscribe button down below for your latest updates.